Donkey Kong, am I right? This damn dirty ape is responsible for some of the greatest 2D platformer games in multiple generations. You know how the story goes at this point. Nintendo enlists the help of second-party company Rareware to reimagine the ape, and Donkey Kong Country 1 through 3 are all classics in their own right. And then DK64 comes out and it kind of bombed. But I never understood how people can say that it bombed. I mean, everyone likes to say it was this massive failure, but it was the 7th best-selling game on the console. I guess when the console itself doesn't sell well, everyone can kind of point to it as not being successful, but it's still the 7th best-selling game on it. That just doesn't make sense to me. Just look at this list. Rareware has 4 games in the top 10 sold on the console, and Nintendo let them walk and take a deal with Microsoft, who's a direct competitor. That will never make sense to me. To this day, believe it or not, I think that will go down as one of Nintendo's biggest blunders. A blunder bust, if you will. And yes, I am using Mario Wiki as a credible source. Sue me. FanWikis rule. Rareware had a bunch of DK games lined up for the next generation of consoles on the GameCube and the Game Boy Advance, and those were all canceled because they were sold to Microsoft. One canceled DK game still brings a tear to my eye. I speak, of course, of Donkey Kong Racing. That game would have fed generations. It looked so fun. It's just such a shame. I know somewhere out there it exists on a hard drive. Release the Kong cut, man. I don't know if I should do all of this. The mug and the sweater, it feels like overkill. We gotta lose the sweater, guys. I'm sorry. We're gonna lose the sweater. Alright, I just can't do it. There we go. Much better. Look at the footage from this game. Diddy Kong Racing with an animal vehicle mechanic? Dude, I could talk about the potential this game had for ages. Watching this trailer and knowing I'll never be able to play this game ruins my day every single time. Without doubt, my day is ruined when I watch this. And even if, I know that this won't happen, but a world where this game is released today, I'm still not that happy, because if Kid Me got to play this, where you can play as Taj the Genie and Lanky Kong in a DK racing game for the GameCube, I guess I would enjoy it now, but knowing that Kid Me was robbed of this experience will always hurt. Anyway, back to the Kong man. Yes, him and I are on a nickname basis. DK64 was my very first DK game. I remember in first game drawing the Kongs in class a lot. We used to play DK64 on the playground, which just meant everybody picking a Kong they liked and monkeying around. Lots of monkey bar activities, I'd imagine. I remember as a joke, I would do the Chunky Kong barrel move, where he's like, me? Tiny. When we would pick teams. It's little things like that that make you grateful for the memories those games provide. But for a while, it was my favorite game of all time, which is funny because I wonder how many people had this exact same experience. I didn't play the games at that age. Well, of course, I would play the Mario parties and the karts and the golfs, and we would do that together as a family. But the one-player games, me and my brother would actually just watch my dad play. In the eyes of a kid, it was like watching a Disney movie that your dad could control. And we'd be like, go here, do that, collect that banana, kill that guy. So to call it my favorite game isn't entirely painting the right picture. It'd be closer to say it was my favorite movie. It's crazy to think that after my dad's full 9 to 5, he would come home and work on 101% in this game, because that's what he did. It's still on this file. 101%. I mean, that's dedication to your kids and their enjoyment. Because, on some level, I'm sure he enjoyed it, but this game is a beast. Of course, I would get older, and then I would go back and play all the N64 games that I'd watch my dad play, and I still really love DK64. It imprinted on me at a very young age because when I was older and playing games on my own, the dynamic of a one-player game where you could play as different characters was held in such a high regard in my head. I think it's one of the main reasons why I loved Sonic Heroes so much. To me, it didn't get cooler in my own brain than a one-player game where you could control multiple characters at once. I don't know, like the Tag Barrel, Sonic Heroes, Banjo-Kazooie in some way. I just thought that was so cool and innovative. It felt like the future. So DK64 comes and goes, and at first it gets really good reviews. And then later people start to criticize it, and then people credit it for killing the 3D platformer genre. And while it didn't kill it, thank God, it absolutely put it on life support. And I feel like that's a phrase I've been hearing since I've entered the internet. DK64 killed the 3D platformer. And it's back now, and we're at an age where people are now loving and respecting the 3D platformers again. But that game did a lot of damage. It was supposed to be this really big, really huge game, and it was big and huge in the wrong ways. It ended up feeling like their goal wasn't to make a good game, but to make a game filled with as many collectibles as possible. In retrospect, you could say that DK had the worst transition into 3D for any high market IP. High market IP. I said high market. Thank you. So DK64 happens, Rareware leaves, and now DK kinda is an abandoned child. Namco uses him for a rhythm-based game, an underrated one I might add. This past Halloween I had all these friends over, and I swear to you, we all played Donkey Konga. It was part of the Halloween games that we had. It was like I was living out a Nintendo marketing executive's dream. Donkey Konga! I honestly love these things, man. I know they get ragged on a lot, but Konga 1 and 2, both of them, they're both so goofy, and when I was younger, me and my cousins would play this game all the time down the shore. I recently repurchased these because my favorite podcast did a whole episode on them. And they were ragging on Konga 1 and 2, but it just reminded me how much I loved them. After Konga 1 was a success, Konga 2 kinda wasn't, so he gets picked up by Nintendo EDP for a one-night stand with Jungle Beat, which received mixed reviews since it was a platformer played with the flippin' bongo controller. A rhythm game with bongos I can get behind, but a platformer? This is one everybody wants to champion too, as like the underrated Donkey Kong game. And I played it recently, and I would have to disagree. I swear, dude, sometimes people just want to be different. How is a platformer better with bongos than a rhythm-based game where you're using the bongos for bongoing? After a Donkey Kong racing game that we do not talk about, Retro Studios finally picks up our ape. The light shines on our hairy friend once again, and it seems like we found Donkey Kong's forever home with Donkey Kong Country Returns. And then Tropical Freeze comes out, and it kind of bombs, and we're back to square one. And it's funny, like the Tropical Freeze bombing is so similar to DK64. Like, it didn't exactly bomb, but it was on the Wii U, where everything bombed. So, DK, he's had a rough couple of years. And then cut to last week, today, early 2025. Nintendo re-releases Donkey Kong Country Returns, this time for the Nintendo Switch, which ties into the theme park, since the new rides use the Tikis as the main baddie, and they're only ever used in this singular game. Look, you're talking to a huge DK fan here. You saw the shirt, you saw the sweater. To me, the theme park itself is just really confusing too. Like, if you want to go by Nintendo's most marketable IPs, you go Mario, obviously, which has a theme park already, Pokemon, Animal Crossing, Zelda, and then maybe DK. If we're not counting Smash Brothers as its own franchise, which we're probably not, and we shouldn't, because it's an amalgamation of them all, but like, yeah, I guess DK? It's just such a random choice, considering we haven't had a proper new DK game in 10 years. I guess because DK is always in the public eye thanks to Mario, spin-offs, like Mario Party and Kart and Golf and all the others, tennis, and then the movie also. They see this Donkey Kong Park more as an extension of Mario Land than its own park. Like I said, it's all just kind of confusing.
Look, I'm stoked to go to the park, alright? I really am. But why does all the food have to look so bad? Avocado cream on a hot dog? Huh? What?
The main reason why I say the theme park is confusing and a little odd is because while it's amazing that we have a theme park for Donkey Kong, it still doesn't truly lean into the property. DK has such an amazing history with him. His solo games expand upon his lore and add so many fun new characters, swanky, chunky, lanky, tiny, all the E's. And it's weird we now exist in a timeline where, while yes, we can lean into some aspects of those old school Donkey Kong Country games, but we can't delve into them too deep. It's almost like when Retro was making the games, Nintendo gave them a limit of what they could use. Rambi, Dixie, Diddy, Cranky, Funky, they're all good, but that's it. You can't delve any more into the old school Kongs and zero Kremlings. Basically saying we only like some of the things that WarWare did and not all, which, you know, as a fan, when you're playing those games, you don't pick and choose. Like, I loved all of it. The Kremlings, Chunky Kong, like, it's also so weird. Like, why is Chunky Kong in the movie? And Swanky? What? That made it sound like that I'm not happy that we saw Swanky and Chunky in the movie. And Dixie. I was very, very happy that they were there. It's just weird to me that they're going to be there and not in the games. It just doesn't really make sense. It's like there's no cohesion, there's no plan. To me, you're just missing out on so much potential. Give the fans what they want. Like, Nintendo saw firsthand how big of a reaction King K. Rool got when he was revealed in Smash Bros. And that was something that the fans did. They weren't going to put King K. Rool in Smash, and then they did a fan vote, and him and Ridley, among others, were some of the biggest requested characters. So why are you holding back our dear Crocodilian King? On top of that, we haven't had a proper new game in 10 years. Sure, fans of other franchises will say, hey look, you got Mario vs. DK just came out, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and they even remade Donkey Kong Country Returns for you. And I'm just sitting here like, as a diehard, I obviously still have all those games, so I don't want to get the new ones, even though I do. And I get it, it's good for the new generations, but come on, man. Like, I don't just want the fresh paint. I want a new game with fresh paint on top of it. I want the whole package, especially if you're going to charge me full retail price for this new game that I have now bought 3 times. I know, I'm a sucker. And then the weirdest thing, it just shows that you have no direction. You're going to quasi-reinvent the character in this new Mario Kart. Everybody else looks pretty like how much they do normally, maybe like toned up a little bit in the cuteness, but then you have DK and he just looks like movie DK. It just seems like Nintendo doesn't know what they want to do.
The strange thing to me is we have a theme park Donkey Kong, and he looks like this. It's a full man in a suit, and it does not look like the Mario Kart 9 model. This is what I mean in terms of dilemma. It's just no conviction.
Mario Kart is kind of the king. Of all of the spin-off Mario games, it may have even surpassed 3D Mario at this point. I mean, if you look at sales, it has definitely surpassed it versus Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Super Mario Odyssey. So it's almost the trendsetter now. So to have DK look like this in Mario Kart, it's just really shocking. And it also feels like separation. Like, are we going to see Diddy in this Mario Kart? How is he going to look? It just really, it's a dilemma.
This is what I'm saying when I mean it. It's tough out here for DK fans, man. I listen to a Donkey Kong podcast, a weekly Donkey Kong podcast called The Kongversation. Baller, I know. If you're a DK fan, check it out. It's good stuff.
I give so much credit to Heil and everybody over at DK Vine for making those podcasts, because it's been 10 years since we got a proper new game. And it's been scarce on DK News for 10 years, and they have found a way to make those podcasts entertaining and enjoyable. So, mad respect to them.
And look, Nintendo, we get it. You love Donkey Kong, but you're not in love with Donkey Kong. And look, Valentine's Day's right around the corner. You know, I got some suggestions for you, some stuff that you can do, and then we can take some wise words from Lil Wayne, and you can figure out how to love.
So, suggestion number 1, a Donkey Kong 64 remake. And I know that's going to sound crazy because I've been poo-pooing the notion of remakes this entire time, but DK64, it is a flawed game. And flawed games would benefit so much from a remake, and it's sold a lot. That game is near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, even though it is so flawed. You can make it so you can switch your Kong at any given time. You don't have to worry about the tag barrel. You can even make a funky version where he can just be an OP Kong that takes the place of every Kong, so you don't have to switch at all. Whatever you want to do. But this game is primed for a remake with it came out so long ago and it looks so polygony. If you did that with a fresh coat of paint, I guarantee you the DK fans and other fans, just old school platformer fans, will love to see that. And then going off the coattails of that, you could, if you're going to put all that work in, you could just make a full new 3D platformer, lean into the hard narrative of all the Kongs from the past, and actually use the Kremlings. Just go full Banjo-Kazooie with it. The people clearly want more of that IP as well, and Rareware isn't using it. So take all of the stuff from that game, you know, the music, get Grant Kirkhope, make it very goofy and platformy and give it like fun dialogue. I mean, Donkey Kong 64 was essentially a Banjo 3 anyway. So just, you know, have fun with it and make a sandbox 3D platformer heavily inspired by Banjo-Kazooie, and that could be the niche that Donkey Kong fills in the 3D platformer genre. Another suggestion is you could just make a new 2D platformer and add one more character from your past, like Chunky or Kiddy Kong would actually be a really good example to use, so then you can make a Donkey Kong Country game where all of the old Kongs from every Donkey Kong Country is playable, and then bring back the Kremlings. It's not that hard. I think that would be enough, honestly, for people to say that you're back. And, you know, lean into the difficulty. As much fun as Mario Wonder is, it's kind of easy until the very end, which is fine, but Donkey Kong Country Returns is hard from the jump, which a lot of us really like. So just keep that intensity factor high, which is a nice way for Donkey Kong Country to stand out from the 2D Mario platformer games and other 2D platformers, is that it's just difficulty is just ramped very high. Okay, the next couple suggestions are not going to be loved by all, but I think they're important. Donkey Konga 4. Don't shoot. Just hear me out. The IP Donkey Kong, it needs to breathe, it needs to be expanded upon to grow, and spin-offs are a great way to do that. You get a brand new console, you get a rhythm-based game in there early, maybe at launch, use popular songs, but also use classic Donkey Kong Country songs, and boom, everybody wins. And then most are happy, and because it's like close to launch, probably not that tough of a game to make, you can get that out, and people will buy it because they want software to play on their new hardware. I think that's a great idea. It's just me. And then my last suggestion, it's not a DK game, but hear me out, guys. Mario Baseball 3. In the first Mario Baseball, we got playable Dixie Kong for the first time since Donkey Kong Country 3. And then in the sequel, Sluggers, we get Tiny, King K, 3 different Kremlings, Funky Kong, even Baby DK is there. It was awesome. I loved the really deep grab that Mario Baseball was able to pull off in their roster because it's a baseball game and you need to fill your rosters of 9 characters. If we could get another one and get another full DK game with, you know, Checkpoint or Lanky or whoever, just more DK characters in a spin-off helps the brand. I know most DK fans aren't going to love this idea, but whatever, I love it. Those Mario Baseball games are sick. And in the same vein, just put Dixie Kong in Mario Kart or Cranky. That would be huge as well. And coming up in like 40 days, we got the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. So we're going to get some answers.
I'm looking forward to that Direct. You know, bring on the Smash Bros. Speculation, bring on the Mario Kart roster videos. I'm all here for it. But Nintendo, please, please, take care of our favorite ape. Get him a new game. Get him something that's not a remake unless it's Donkey Kong 64. And things will be good, because we know you love them. Just show them some more love. That's all. And yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. I'm going to be here. Check me out on Twitter, Instagram. I'm at Nick Vez. Like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Smash every button. I appreciate you watching, and yeah.
Bam 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 bam. Bam 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 bam. Bam 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 bam.